That time's come again. It's the community redraw, something I really enjoy doing on the channel, and without further ado, let's bring this month's community redraw to life. Demonica, what are we doing here? Isn't it a bit cliche to be around a campfire at Halloween? I mean, I love a good spooky story, just like the next guy. But did you have to invite the others too? I kind of thought it was just going to be, the two of us. Now Nexum dear, we can do that later. But for now, I thought it would be delightful and fun to share some stories around a campfire. It's a tradition when camping, isn't it? Especially in this month of Halloween, was it?
I don't know what this Halloween is, lass, but sharing a tale around a campfire is something old Erronfold is no stranger to.
Well, I suppose we can do that. It does sound kind of fun. Just curious, what's it doing here? Don't be like that, Nexum, darling. It's a good chance for us all to get along, since the Department of Multiversal Matters wants us to help find Loki after what happened when they went after him. But for now, I'll go first, and I've got a story for you all. First up, we have a tale of a man who sailed across the 7 seas with his beloved wife, a joyful soul that spread wonder and cheer to all those he met. His name was Andrew Jackson, and he was married to the love of his life, Maria. They spent many years at sea travelling and enjoying the wonders of the world. Always one to protect his crew and wife from the perils of the sea. His pure and kind heart suffered a blow beyond imagining. His pure and kind heart suffered a blow beyond anything he could imagine. One fateful day, his wife came down with a mysterious and unknown illness that caused Maria to become weaker by the day, as Andrew slowly became colder and colder as the health of his wife continued to deteriorate until she finally passed away. This caused Andrew's heart to break and tear apart, sending him into a depressive spiral, and over time he started to become more unforgiving and merciless with anyone he encountered. Eventually, he fell into the habit of piracy, and after becoming a pirate in every sense of the word, he was betrayed by his crew. They had had enough of his cold and cruel nature and mutinied, throwing him overboard, leaving his fate to the depths of the sea. However, it would not be the last that his crew nor the rest of the world saw of him. He was resurrected by the god of the sea himself, Poseidon, and despite Jackson being cold-hearted and unforgiving, even when he was brought back to life by this god, Jackson was forever cursed to wander the 7 seas, protecting innocent travellers while bringing an unspeakable and terrifying wrath to those who would do harm. To help him in the task, Poseidon gave him a variety of powers. Invisibility, so he could sneak upon his victims. Intangibility, to be able to pass through solid objects, leaving no place for his target to hide. Of course, to protect the 7 seas, Jackson was made to have a near-mortal body with the power to control water, a form of hydrokinesis. He could fly, and strangely enough, his eyes would glow when he was angry, causing intense heat to blast out. Whoa, he had laser eyes? That's not a bad idea. Kinda reminds me of a... Nexum, dearest, would you mind shutting up? I'm still telling the story. Oh yeah, sorry Demonica, just laser eyes. Kinda cool, you know what I mean? It's fine. Although you did kill the scary 5 from the story, Andrew Jackson was known across the 7 seas as the Sea Spectre, and rumour has it he still roams the seas to this day, dealing his wrath to those who would do harm, all along waiting for the unlikely day he will be set free to join his wife, a day that may never come. I see how Nexum, in his vast genius, has interrupted a rather intriguing story. I think he should take the next story, assuming he has the ability to do so.
Har, Nexum lad, looks like our pal Dinoclaw here has just called you out. Dare you take up the challenge?
Sure, though I'm doing this for Demonica as an apology for interrupting her, not because Dino what's-his-name over there has decided to call me out or anything like that. Anyway, here you go. This one is a tale that starts like any other. A handsome inventor, much like myself, was working on his latest project, one that would change the world and bring peace to those everywhere. As all things with good intentions go, they often have a way of not going to plan. So this inventor guy was working on his latest project called g.r.e.e.n. As in green, environmentally friendly and all that. Like I mentioned earlier, it was to help save the world. It was created with a super intelligent AI program in order to analyze any situation and find the flaws and then solutions for the problems. Pretty cool. Nothing I can't do, but pretty cool. It did have a power core that was able to last for hundreds of years. This core was radioactive, but at a level that was safe for everybody to be near. It was able to power this humanoid creation while causing minimal fallout to anyone around it. Unfortunately, this was the only parcels at the time. Well, this seems a bit boring, Nexum. Not scary at all. Is this the best you can do? Zip it, will ya? You're the one that wanted me to tell this tale, so how about you shut up, sit back and let Nexum continue with the story, yeah? Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. So this humanoid creation, kind of an android, we can call it. It was powered by a radioactive core. Though, under normal conditions, the radiation levels are harmless to most living creatures. That was until a virus made its way into the core programming of g.r.e.e.n. The virus, slowly but surely, started to corrupt the damn thing. And over time, it seemed like all was well, and the newest fighter for peace was doing his job great. However, what happened next shocked the entire world. The maintaining of peace for everybody by g.r.e.e.n started to get more unforgiving and soon became more merciless. It became clear, although the android had brought up a form of peace across the world, it was becoming more and more deadly. Realizing this, the nations of the world began to try and limit the influence of the power of g.r.e.e.n. Unfortunately, this green android was able to see what was happening, and under the pretense of peace talks, with all the main leaders who could oppose him and his own creator, g.r.e.e.n held a meeting, and once the doors were locked and the room was secure, he suddenly changed the radiation of his core to lethal levels, killing everybody in the room as soon as the doors were completely shut, like I said earlier. This left no one to stop the android, who began to give a new meaning to the name g.r.e.e.n. It now stands as Genetic Replica Engineered to Eradicate Nations. A bit of a mouthful, but still kept the name g.r.e.e.n. I like it. And let me tell you, eradicate nations, it did. It wasn't long before the world turned into an apocalyptic state, with most of the living creatures and species or whatnot being brought to the brink of extinction. Hey, Dinoclaw, you're an expert on extinction, aren't you? From you, Nexum, I think that's a compliment. Although, I think one such as yourself can't spell the word, can you?
Now, you two. It's time for Erronfold here to tell a tale of... Now, you two. It's time for Erronfold here to tell a tale of a beastie. One that was able to hide in plain sight, but get to that later on, shall we? My story starts off like any other, with a young lad, able to cast spells. However, there was one main ability of this lad that had to be kept a secret. And it was due to this that Yamago, I think that was his name. Anyhow, this lad, able to fight like no other. His power allowed him to move at lightning speeds, which was perfect for fighting creatures of the night. It was not long before the lad was able to fight and fend off some of the scariest beasts of the land, handling monsters much larger than himself. He was able to take on dragons and most clever creatures with ease. His power was unrivaled, till one day in a village, there was a large blue flame that looked like it was covered with blue lightning. The village was destroyed by the flames that ran. Those who were not burned from the flames had electric-type burns from lightning. They were unable to handle this beast. Over the next few days, Yamago was sent out to investigate the village with a team of hunters. It was nothing out of the ordinary to start with, but the sight of something the hunters had not seen in a village, or nor to this degree. Yamago was looking at the burned bodies. They looked all too familiar to him, although he couldn't say anything at this point, not without any evidence. It was just a hunch, and a hunch he had, though one that made no sense to any other. The party stayed for a few days to see if there were any other occurrence. Then one night there was a loud crash and explosion. The night sky lit up blue, as crackling from the sound of lightning also filled the air. The hunters charged out to the scene to be greeted by a fearsome beast, one whose body was covered in blue flames with sparks of electricity all over. Made it impossible to see the real body of this beast, but it was terrifying, let me tell ya. The only person who was not at the scene seemed to be the lad. It seemed he was not there as the other members battled this beastie. And one by one, despite their best efforts, they were taken down, being burned to a crisp, now unrecognizable to anybody who knew them. In the aftermath of the battle, the creature had been worn down to the point the flames began to dwindle, and a figure could be seen within them. As the flames started to die out more and more, The figure became clearer. It was the shape of a human, an all too familiar figure, as the last of the flames and lightning started to fade. Left in the aftermath of a giant scorch mark on the ground was the lad who I mentioned earlier from the start of this tale. The beast with its flames and lightning was the curse the lad had to bear. Although he protects the innocent at times, he is also cursed to turn into a giant creature made out of his power. The power of blue electric fire. One that will soon engulf his soul and turn him into a mindless beast that will want to kill and devour all of those around him.
So, Dinoclaw, you're next, right? Not this time. I'm here for tomorrow's briefing on the Loki creature, the demon cult leader, the one the Department of Multiversal Matters has given us the task of tracking down after it escaped from what they did. Suit yourself, pal. I guess we got time for another tale, so here I go. Anyways, this time we have something about a fella who can't see. That's right, born blind, this fella grew up alone and abandoned by his parents. Maybe it's due to the blindness or another reason, like him being fragile and weak and absolutely useless. But it turns out he was left at an orphanage. Weaker than most children, he was taken in by an organization when he was about 7. Over several years of intense and brutal training that would make even the toughest of minds break, his senses became so attuned that he could attack someone even though he was blind. Pretty handy skill. Reminds me of another character, although I think he's a lawyer and not really sort of the fighting type, but he can't see as well. Gets around pretty handy though. I wonder how he does that. Anyway, eventually, once he reached a certain level of skill, the group that took him in gave him an experimental serum, one that caused him to suffer intense pain. I mean, this serum thingy, although it increased his physical strength and dealt with the weakness of his body, caused him to scream out in blood-curdling screams that echoed throughout the facility, sending shivers and chills down the spines of the staff and those on guard. After several days recuperating, the reborn blind lad was given the name Soundwaves. This was mainly due to the specialized gear he was given. Although the gear enabled him to use sound waves to stop objects in the air, pretty cool trick. Hover or fly. He's got to have good balance, but being blind, at least he's not scared of heights. He even used the frequencies to break through solid titanium. I mean, this guy literally had it all. Except he couldn't see it all. Unfortunately, there was a side effect to the serum. It caused the kid to go crazy and on a killing spree. He caused people's heads and bodies to explode when the frequencies of the sound waves were just right. There's this kind of resonance frequency that can shatter things on a molecular level. Not really sure what it is, but, pretty lethal, pretty deadly, and a pretty gruesome after effect. I mean, blood, guts, everything all over the place. This caused many to be left in confusion and disgusted at the massive mess and aftermath beneath. The bodies were, It's also said that if there's a large enough group, this kid, he used sound waves to kind of make it look like he's a illusion, a glitch, a hallucination for them. Kind of hard to tell, but basically it looked like he phased in and out. Kind of blurred and distorted, kind of like a glitchy effect. Pretty cool in a tech sense, but it must be terrifying. You see this solid guy coming towards you, hovering with like a glowing face and these tonfals that, extend out and he can just batter you with it. Not to mention he's just made the guy in front of your head blow up. And then, next thing you know, there's 3 of them, or 2 of them. Or as you shoot at him, or hit him with something, it just phases right through him. I mean, I don't know about you, but that'll be a pretty scary sight. This guy goes on a killing spree, and he's never been caught. In fact, rumor has it, he's somewhere around these woods, so we better keep an eye out.
Well, I guess I'll be next. It looks like Demonica was enjoying your story and she's a little bit distracted there. And as Dinoclaw said, he's not really going to take part today. So, I'll talk about something a bit different, shall I? This one's not a beastie as such. Well, it is kind of a beastie. You see, there's once this hero known as Tidal Wave. A hero that was not quite your average hero. One of the lastest that can use magical powers. She didn't act like one for sure. She was one of a team of 4 that used the elements to defeat her foes, primarily using water and ice, and she could summon the spirits of these to create some amazing things. Not to mention some chilling attacks, often known for a bit of a cold shoulder. Her name really, her real name is Wendy, by the way. Lovely lass. And she was born and raised on the ocean, on tropical beaches, and in the frigid waters around a place called Alaska. Never been there. Her mum and dad loved the sea as much as she did, which gave her kind of interest in the elements of water and ice. Unfortunately, one day, things took a turn from the worst.
Hey, Erronfold. This is kind of not quite as adventurous as your previous ones. I mean, what's going on here? It seems like you're making this up on the spot.
Well, lad, it is a scary story, but you gotta let Erronfold here finish.
Yeah, okay, I guess you're right. Just, pick it up a bit.
Okay, so Tidal Wave was out on an adventure with a party, tracking down this scoundrel of a beast, when she came across a cave which had a powerful water spirit in it. Now, being one with an affinity of the water element and spirits, she could communicate with this supernatural being. The being led her to a dark, scary area with a crown in the center that looked beautiful, made of ice. The crown was calling out to her. So as Tidal Wave went closer and closer, it began to resonate and glow with a beautiful blue glow. She picked it up, and when she put it on her head, that was when the curse happened. You see, it wasn't actually a delightful and nice water spirit. It was an evil spirit of an old dark mage, one that terrorized the 7 seas with her power over the water and the ice. She possessed the body of Tidal Wave, allowing her powers to evolve and develop. It wasn't long before her party came looking for her. Then all of a sudden, Tidal Wave came out with half her body in the form of water where her legs should be. Her purple and pinkish majestic colours looking quite nice, but with a slightly demonic look on her face. She had fangs sticking out. She came close to her friend, all smiling and innocent, right up to the moment when she pierced her friend with an icy spike. Went right through the lass, it did, leaving her cold, lifeless body bleeding out on the floor. It wasn't long before she finished off the rest of her party. And if you're very, very lucky, you might not come across this weary lass as she stays and haunts the 7 seas, killing many adventurer on her travel. In fact, she might just be there right behind you now, Nexum.
What? Don't Nexum. I'm not falling for that again. You got me once with that Benny Sharp thing. We're not doing that again. She's definitely... Today's community redraw. Had a lot of fun with this and it wasn't too bad. Really enjoyed bringing everyone's illustrations to life with a slightly spooky tale to them. I kind of wanted to twist the stories for each of the characters and make it a bit more darker for Halloween. Hopefully I've done them justice. I really enjoyed how the 5 winning submissions came out. We have Sea Spectre by Spencer Deckard, Green by Redesho, Yamigo by Charged, Soundwaves by Venmise Toothless, and we have Tidal Wave by Alpha Dragon. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Details for next month's community redraw. The theme this time is I want you to create your own dinosaur. Now, this is open to interpretation. You don't have to stick with just a dinosaur as in a normal dinosaur or mix them together. You can have a steampunk dinosaur, robot dinosaur, alien dinosaur, demon. It's completely open. But you do need to send in a headshot and a full body pose of your dinosaur. Also, the name of the dinosaur and maybe a bit of information about it. Habits, abilities, something like that. Submission deadline is the 18th of November, and I look forward to seeing what you all come up with. Wednesday night, we do have a continuation of our Ripjaws as a kaiju illustration we're working on, so that will be a live stream. Anyway, stay safe everybody. Catch you next time.